local all morning. You're watching Fox 61 Morning News.
Right now at 6, part of Route 6 is shut down after a water main break. We're going to get you a live update and give you some sort of idea on when the repairs might be done in just 3 minutes.
But first, we want to say good morning and happy Friday. Thanks for being here on Fox 61 and Fox 61 Plus. I'm Bridget Bureau.
And I'm Erica Arias. Happy Friday. We certainly are glad that we are here, and I know you are as well. And we're glad that it's got a warm up outside.
Another nice day ahead. Yesterday, high temperatures topped out upper 40s near 50 degrees. We're going to do it again today. But with that also comes some rain. So we are timing some rain later on this afternoon and evening. This morning, though, you want to watch out for some slick spots. Although fog not an issue this morning, we're thinking maybe that may be a concern with some freezing fog out there, but right now we're not seeing anything too bad. But of course, we're going to continue to monitor that as our numbers are in the 20s to near 30 this morning. 24 in Torrington right now, out the door in Meriden. It's 24, 23 in Willimantic. The good news is we don't have a lot of wind to go along with these numbers. So what you kind of feel out there is going to be in the 20s. So we don't have a dramatic wind chill to deal with this morning. I think we're going to get some bonus sun first thing once that sun comes up in the next hour. And then eventually those clouds by about noontime do thicken up. So limited sunshine, but a little bit of a bonus to certainly get it in the morning to start us off on our Friday. Into the evening, though, with the cloudy skies, we are going to build in the opportunity mainly after about 4 o'clock for some scattered showers at first. And then it does look like it becomes a little bit more widespread across the state before it wraps up between about 8 and 9 o'clock in the evening. Temperature wise, though, we're going to get up into the mid 40s. This is all rain across the state, to even some of us topping out close to 50 degrees in the afternoon again. So 48 in Brantford. We'll make a run at 50 in Middletown, southeastern Connecticut, 47 degrees, Groton 49, and Ledyard 47 in Killingly. Then for tomorrow, we are tracking another opportunity for rain. The day starts off dry, a very similar scene where we have dry conditions, and then eventually maybe even some bonus sun in the morning, and then eventually that rain moves in. Although this rain on Saturday looks a little bit more widespread, and it does look to linger into the overnight hours on Saturday. We'll have more details on that, how this plays into your weekend forecast, coming up in just a bit. Here at 6:02, we are following, as you heard from Bridget and Erica, that water main break over in Bristol. So Route 6, a portion of it closed this morning between about Route 69 and Stewart Street. Good alternatives for you to get around it. There's a couple of back roads, but Woodland Street might be a good alternative to get around this water main break. And then also taking Route 72 can get you around that as well. Hartford, Southington, New Haven, and Bridgeport, our interstates are looking fine this morning. Over to you.
All right, Rachel, let's get back to things in Bristol, where, as Rachel just reported, a water main break is slowing things down this morning on Route 6.
Yeah, this is happening near the Bristol Commons. Fox 61's Kayla Cade is there, and we're getting an up-close look. There's a lot of action behind you, Kayla.
Yeah, that's right. We got a closer look at where the water main break happened. The water is still flowing. Crews are still hard at work. I'll step out a shot so you guys can get a closer look. You can still see the water is still flowing, and you actually see the road is lifted over there, and some of the dirt is up on the road right now. And actually earlier we saw a truck come by, a snowplow, and they were actually putting some salt on the ground because it is cold out here. We don't want it to be icy on these roads right now. And also a little bit down there, further down this street, you can see and hopefully hear some workers working right now. I hear a jackhammer going off right now. They are definitely hard at work now. Maple Street and Stewart Street are closed until further notice, and cars are having to detour, but you can still turn into and out of the Bristol Commons and also on Rustic Terrace. And now we don't know how long they'll be out here to fix this water main break. We don't know how long traffic will have to detour, but we will keep you updated as we learn more. But for now, live in Bristol, Kayla Cade, Fox 61.
All right, Kayla, we're still waiting to learn if there are any impacts to homeowners, businesses in the area. We'll check back in with you with those details. Thank you. And meantime, we're learning more about Jonathan Ross this morning, the ICE agent who pulled the trigger in Minnesota. Federal officials say he belonged to a specially trained tactical unit. He served more than a decade, and video from last summer in nearby St. Paul shows him being dragged by a suspect during an attempted arrest. But in the case of Wednesday's incident, state investigators are being shut out by the FBI, who are leading the investigation. Officials with both the state and Fed say locals will not have access to the case materials.
Protesters have taken to the streets in cities all across the country, from Minneapolis, the site of Wednesday's deadly ICE shooting, to Cleveland, Asheville, and Washington, D.C. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz thanked Minneapolis for the peaceful protests, but announced that he put the state's National Guard on standby to help local law enforcement keep the community safe. And here in Connecticut, protests were planned in cities all across here, our state. In Hartford, one demonstrator was hit by a car.
Fox 61's Glenn Kittle joins us live from the building in Hartford where those protests happened. And Glenn, do the police know if the driver was targeting the protester?
Yeah, good morning, Bridget. Erica, the video online shows actually the two cars were involved in this, a car and a van, and it shows that they're inching through the crowds of protesters trying to get to the street. Right now, there's no clear idea on the motive of that driver at this time. We have not heard back from police, but Mayor Arun Navaralampulam had this to say about the incident. He said in part, quote, "What happened at tonight's vigil in Hartford is a direct result of the lawlessness and recklessness cultivated by the Trump administration over the past year, which culminated in the killing of Renee Good in Minneapolis this week. It's imperative that anyone protesting to do so peacefully and safely. We cannot give this administration the chaos it craves, but let no one mistake the cause of tonight's conflict. Federal agents have acted with impunity and a clear intent to antagonize local communities across our country. When you govern by brutality, you incite unrest." Now, before the chaos of that moment described by the mayor, the group of protesters outside the federal building were mostly peacefully protesting there. They want accountability for the ICE officer who shot Renee Good, calling for his arrest and the arrest of all the other ICE agents involved in that incident. And while at the protest, our Fox 61 crews heard protesters screaming that ICE agents were arresting protesters and using pepper spray on the crowds. We reached out to verify the events that unfolded before that use of force, and we have yet to hear back on that. Now, Len Varula was one of the protesters on the ground in Hartford. She had this to say.
Nobody is safe anymore. It's not just them targeting immigrants, obviously. Renee Nicole Good was a white American citizen. We need people to disagree, and we need to disagree in numbers because that's all we have. A lot of us are scared. A lot of us are brown and we're at higher risk. A lot of us come from immigrant families. You have to push the fear aside because it will get you nowhere.
Now, the protesters were also calling for Americans to display their disagreement in numbers with the federal government's decision to deploy ICE to cities nationwide. Now, as for that vehicle strike from last night, we knew that Mayor Navaralampulam has called for Hartford police to investigate this vehicle strike like any other that they would. They said that they would release more information as that investigation moves further along. And we'll bring you that latest information as it comes into our newsroom. But for right now, live in Hartford, Glenn Kittle, Fox 61.
All right, Glenn, thanks for the update. And in New Haven, ICE officers arrested 3 people in the downtown area. According to the New Haven Police Department, they don't have exact locations for those arrests, and they say the city's police department was not involved.
This comes as dozens of protesters gathered outside the New Haven courthouse speaking against the Minneapolis ICE shooting. Fox 61's Kay Patty Foote was on the scene all evening long. She has the latest on what unfolded.
Dozens in the New Haven community gathered on these steps to speak out against ICE following the death of Renee Good.
We will not be silent. We will not be silent. ICE murdered Renee Good. Say her name, Renee Good.
Wednesday afternoon, an ICE agent shot and killed Renee Good in Minneapolis, an incident that the Trump administration said was out of self-defense.
You have a woman who was trying to obstruct a legitimate law enforcement operation. Nobody debates that. You have a woman who aimed her car at a law enforcement officer and pressed on the accelerator. Nobody debates that.
Protesters in New Haven say otherwise.
It's tough to see and watch, but moments like this give me faith in that there's like an organized force ready to fight this.
Shame that this is happening under my name and with my tax dollars. It's just wrong.
Crazy, and that should not be happening.
Abdul Asamu was one of the speakers at Thursday's protest in front of the New Haven courthouse. Dozens showed up with signs and to make their voices heard.
Because ICE is still on our streets, kidnapping our neighbors, terrorizing our families, and acting like lawless thugs with badges.
Mayor Justin Elliker said he was heartbroken when he watched the video of Renee Good.
While it's deeply troubling what happened, it's also not surprising because, frankly, the federal government now is targeting communities like ours and around the nation with ICE officers that don't appear to have a lot of rules, oversight, are masked, and raining terror on communities, and that is just not okay.
In the wake of these protests, we've also heard from some state leaders who disagree. House Grand Old Party leader Vincent Candelora says rhetoric of this type only worsens tensions and encourages people to disregard orders from law enforcement.
Some are worried that the way ICE is handling arrests will only get worse. They say it's important to speak up now. In New Haven, Kate Pattyfoot, Fox 61.
And at 6:10, we have an update on a hit-and-run crash that happened in Bristol involving a bicyclist.
Fox 61's Priscilla Meza is joining us now with what police are saying about what happened. Priscilla, good morning.
Bridget and Erica, we've just been informed by Bristol police that the victim has now passed away. He was in the hospital, but we've just been informed of this. Now, police are still searching as of right now for one of the cars that took off and fled the scene. Take a look at this video right here from the scene last night. This happened around 5:30 yesterday. A man in his 30s was riding his bicycle when he was struck by a vehicle that immediately fled the scene. That impact threw the bicyclist off his bike and onto the roadway. Moments later, police say a second vehicle hit the man while he was still on the ground. The driver of that vehicle stayed at the scene and is cooperating with investigators, telling police they did not see the victim in the roadway. Due to the severity of his injuries, the bicyclist was flown by Lifestar helicopter to a local hospital where he was in critical condition for hours before passing away. Now, witnesses told police they saw a silver SUV with front end damage flee the area. And we spoke with a neighbor who says, unfortunately, they see reckless drivers pass through that area quite often.
They fly from ESPN, they fly down this road, so you know, it's not just them, but it's mainly them that they kind of cruise a little too fast. You know, they're coming from New York and all over, so they drive a lot faster than we do around here.
Now, police are still searching for that silver SUV that's believed to be involved in that hit and run. And if you have witnessed anything or have any information, investigators are urging you to call the Bristol police and leave a tip there. As of right now, this is an ongoing investigation. Live from Bristol, Priscilla Meza, Fox 61.
All right, Priscilla, a sad update there. Thank you. 6:12 in court. Michelle Troconis should be back in the courtroom today. She is seeking a new trial. Troconis is more than a year into a 14.5-year prison sentence for conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with evidence in connection with the death and disappearance of mother of 5, Jennifer Farber-Dulos. Troconis is now challenging her conviction by claiming her former defense attorney provided ineffective counsel. In court Monday, her legal team argued her former attorney, Andrew Bowman, failed to properly advise and protect her during the police investigation. Bowman's legal team is pushing back on that. They pointed to the decades of experience he has and said he acted appropriately throughout the case. They will have one more hearing next Friday. The judge will then have up to 120 days to decide whether Troconis could be granted a new trial or released from prison pending the decision.